teams. Let me see those hands again. Hang on now. Hey, everybody jump.
You're tuned to Off the Ball, the most petty and ill-informed sports programme on radio. A week in the life of Scottish football. 2024, your hopes and fears. 3 songs for life and Christmas on a loop. I'm Stuart Cosgrove, he's Tam Cowan, and you're tuned to the odd couple of Scottish football. Off the Ball, Tam, a week in the life of Scottish football, and I have to say the thing that's really got me interested is the idea that for the first time ever they're going to be miking a manager at a live game. Excellent.
Well, I can just correct you there. You said for the first time ever, for the last time ever. This is a strange story. Every other week, every other game, we hear commentators, be it Al Lamont or Liam McLeod or Paul Mitchell, and we must apologise if you heard some industrial language. Right. Now, I sit above the dugouts at Fir Park, as you know, Stuart. I hear the sort of language you get from each bench during every game. They must have done their homework here and thought, you know what? We've found out that Nick Montgomery is originally an Amish person. He doesn't swear, and we're safe because...
And he has no emotional ups or downs in life.
Exactly. Why Nick Montgomery? That's the only thing I could think. I told you that brief spell that I spoke to him a few weeks ago. The Royal Musselburgh Golf Club, Preston Pant Hibs supporters do. It was the morning after they'd been beaten in the semi-final by Aberdeen, and I spent a bit of time in his company. He does seem quite a chilled out guy. Very well spoken. He's not Scottish. It's not that I've got the worst reputation for the swearies. But you know what? This is absolute bonkers.
Well, why is John Lambie's family putting a claim against...
But you know what? It's right. Tell me this. I don't know the detail. If anybody out there does, is there presumably there will be, as we had for 1 week and 1 week only in the history of Off the Ball on day one, and as other commercial radio stations still have, is there like a 7-second delay?
No, this is a live experiment.
You're going to hear everything.
Yeah, well, you'll hear what you can hear. Now, this is, first of all, big congratulations to the broadcaster here. Hugely innovative. They're looking to also gain access.
Absolutely, good on them.
At half time, trying to get access into the dressing room. Derek McInnes, big no, not happening. He was actually very clear that he wouldn't want him or any of his close staff, nor would he want them to have access to the dressing room.
Well, Nick's opponent on the day, Stephen Naismith, he's the same. He said, no chance, it's not for me, thanks very much. But now, the other thing, maybe I'm getting a bit carried away here. Are we going to hear Nick Montgomery say anything anyway? Because he might be mic'd up, but I'm guessing it'll be muffled because they all cover their mouth anyway. Are we going to hear anything? But this is, listen, give us your thoughts, and I think every football fan, don't get me wrong, a wee bit of sweary, that doesn't upset me. I won't be shocked. I won't drop my knitting, you know what I mean? So I'm looking forward to it.
It's going to be great. It's a must-have. And I wonder if it will give you any insights. I'm looking for the first manager that gets all kind of into obscure kind of stats and chat about shape and what he wants the deep lying fake 9 to do. I want to hear all of that.
I don't want any like that. What I want now is a last minute winner by Hearts, which is 40 yards offside, which is not given by VAR. Because I want to hear Nick Montgomery going absolutely off his nut.
Well, you know what? See if Davy Martindale was to go.
Oh, there's one. Get Davy Martindale mic'd up. Have you had a private word with him at any time?
Wouldn't that be great? And Davy, even were he to be sacked at Livingston for being bottom of the league, you'd want Stanley Unwin to replace him, wouldn't you?
Listen, 80295 in a text. You can email off the ball at bbc.co.uk. We really want the listeners' thoughts on this, particularly the Hibs fans. What about the Hibs fans who a bit like I do at Fir Park, sit behind the dugouts. Do we have anything to fear from Nick Montgomery? Maybe a swear word hasn't crossed his lips. On that note, Derek Adams, I think, may have been, he's been the man of the week, of course, but Derek Adams may have been the good guy to trial this with, because Derek Adams is self-confessed devout Christian, and I believe that he simply doesn't swear.
That's it. But, Tam, you don't have to swear to talk shite.
Oh, you think he was?
Oh, absolute nonsense. Over-exaggerated, over-emotional, and actually made a fool of himself.
I personally think, don't ever stand in front of the microphone, in front of the cameras, immediately after losing a 97th minute winner.
Absolutely.
At home. Don't do it. But
to be fair to Derek Adams, if Philippe Clement had said it, it'd been the words of a genius.
Oh, a visionary.
Aye.
Yeah, this guy's
Telling
got
us
a
what we
point.
need to hear.
Aye, he wouldn't have been lampooned. This guy's got a point. Why? Like, exactly.
Aye.
We need a summit. We need that, aye.
Yeah.
But I think they could have done it with Derek Adams, who, as far as I'm aware, correct me if I'm wrong, but he simply does not swear. But listen, incidentally, just to repeat.
The other thing about it is the guys that have said no chance, is it because they know they can't go 95 minutes without swearing? Is Derek McInnes conceding that he cannot go 95 minutes without swearing?
I think, Derek, if you're tuned in, are they more or less saying, you know what, I behave like a rogue on that touchline.
Yeah.
I give the linesman, the fourth official, the referee, dog's abuse just because every decision doesn't go my way, and I don't want to expose myself.
Aye.
So I wonder if that is the case, but give us your thoughts. We have to point out, Stuart, it was mentioned in the sports bulletin there before we came on. Always worth repeating this, though, particularly if there's the off chance there's any Hibs fans still heading up that way. But Ross County against Hibs has been called off. Ross County
perfect for Derek Adams. He can nip down and watch Morecambe.
Aye, there we go. Who have they got today? Morecambe are they're at home to the MK Dons in League Two. Trying along it would take you down to Morecambe, but I can manage that. But that game is off, waterlogged after Ollie Derrick's tears last week. They've still not cleared them off the park. But give us your take on Nick Montgomery. The Green Brigade, that was another big story of the week. They're back in, but they've had to agree to a 14-point plan.
Take me through the whole 14.
I can't get through the 14, but
I'll pick holes in all of them.
Right, well, no pyros, no balaclavas, no songs or chants that could be deemed political or sectarian.
Well, wouldn't that be in breach of their human rights to express themselves?
Don't start.
I know.
But anyway, so if anybody's got any take on that, a lot of folk already thinking that in the same way that other songs down through the years have been adopted by football fans that you would reckon had nothing to do with football. We give you I Just Can't Get Enough at Celtic and Penny Arcade. An old pop classic by Roy Orbison.
Yeah, I feel I want to
do you reckon the Cream Brigade could maybe have already come up with a new song for today?
I'm sure they could, that wouldn't be immediately recognisable.
Aye, but if you read between the lines,
you would think, I know what that's really about. Yeah, and can I just say, I want to kind of give belated Christmas good wishes to my dear departed mother Alice, who knitted me a balaclava when I was 7. I think she would turn in her grave the thought that it's now been politicised.
Aye, particularly in the winter. Okay, it's been very mild this week. I think we've all been caught out by the central heating, or if you're into a pub or a restaurant, it's been miling. But so Green Brigade, if you've got any thoughts on that, but they will be back in.
Well, look, the bottom line is they've sort of won, haven't they? Because they've proven that Celtic Park without them is like a dreary maw.
Absolutely. You thought that was endgame stuff recently, but clearly not.
No.
And that's it. Other stuff for the football week, the European Super League. Frankly, that'll just send me to sleep. But I can breaking news on that. Stuart.
I was pleased to see that St Johnstone had distanced themselves.
Yeah, so have we. Just
quite
this morning.
Right too,
so Motherwell and St Johnstone, we've said no, we're not taking part in this. So that's good. I believe Celtic Rangers have done the same. Quite frankly, if I get into a pub and anybody's want to talk about the European Super League, I'll go and have a game of pool or play the jukebox. I am not interested.
Do you think Do you think that there was any hint they might be welcomed into it? You might see Celtic and Rangers lifting the frock a wee bit.
Oh, of course, aye. And it seems that they've teamed up. All this stuff.
Were they not once an old firm?
Oh, aye, we won't mention the old firm, and we won't, and they love their wee pokes at each other, the AGMs and all that.
Aye.
But when it comes to the dollar,
Yeah.
then that's it. They're happy to jump into bed again together. The games last night, but I mean, we were scoffing a couple of weeks ago at the emails and texts for a drove of Dundee United fans slaughtering Jim Goodwin.
Oh, I know.
When they were sitting top of the league, but he was getting flack again last night, the BBC game 0-0, and maybe I've got this wrong, but could somebody enlighten us? As he was getting off the pitch at the end at Hampden, Jim Goodwin was giving it that two fingers thing when you're pointing at your eyes and you're pointing at somebody, I've got you clocked here. He was giving it that to a fan on the way out.
As if I know who you are, aye.
And then it was the outside gesture, as if, well, see how smart you're out in the car park.
Right, arrange them in the following order of merit.
Right.
Norman Vaughan, Frankie Vaughan or Lewis Vaughan.
Oh, I mean, Lewis, not only, forget even a hat trick last night. Did you see the one he scored against Dunfermline a few weeks ago?
Yeah.
The free kick, it was Brazilian stuff, and it was, if you like, he put it round the completely wrong end of the wall.
Aye.
He was at the right-hand side of the pitch, and you think the only way you're going to try and have a shot at goal is putting it round the left.
Yeah.
But he put it round the right, a very, very narrow angle, and it just swerved in. What a goal.
Yeah.
And that boy, I was up at his testimonial do a few months ago. When you hear the litany of injuries that he's had and career-threatening injuries, a repetitive one. I don't know if it was his ACL or whatever, and he's bounced back. A hat trick last night, saw him with a match ball, and you could argue that, the BBC maybe missed a trick last night by not just following Wraith. I know they'll be...
How could they predict that? You wouldn't know.
I know, but I'm going to contradict myself right away. There'll be the rules about, you do every
so many
twice
teams,
or something.
yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
But that's what Johners was saying
But
last
look,
night.
he's got the best social media celebration of all. I don't know if you've seen him, Lewis Vaughan, when he celebrates. Basically, you have a situation where wee Dylan Easton's kneeling down in front of him with two plates in his hands.
All right.
And he comes on and mixes if he's a hip-hop DJ.
Right.
Excellent.
And what's the story behind that?
I don't know, but it looks good.
Well, over at the Wraith Rovers fans, if one of them maybe in a Christmas night out to go at DJing or
maybe something like that, yeah.
Please enlighten us. But 4-4 last night, what a game. Dundee United fans, give us your take on everything. And talking about the game last night.
So it's set up, Tom, that cup final you never stop going on about. Could you get Dundee United in the playoffs at the end of the season?
Hey, you know what? There's every chance. There's, yeah, absolutely. As I say to MD to listen, when you look at the Premier League, it's tighter at the bottom than Doug Barrowman's shirt. but and it is. There's only points in it, and the same when you dip into the Championship,
Mm-hmm.
But again, we all playoffs and all the rest of it as we keep saluting in this show. Then there's a hell of a lot of football to be played yet. Talking about that game last night, Stuart, and I'll let you take the lead here because you heard the podcast through the week. One of the pundits last night, our friend Leanne Crichton, had some good news this week. Would you like to wish her all the best?
Yes, I certainly would, Leanne. Fantastic news. Congratulations on you. Soon to be a mother. It's such a brilliant story, and particularly at Christmas,
Exactly.
We
The
all like
spirit
an
of
immaculate
Christmas.
conception.
Absolutely, the spirit of Christmas.
Yeah, brilliant. Leanne, well done.
Brilliant. So, all the best to Leanne and her partner if they are tuned in. So, anything else that tickles your fancy about the week in football would be great. We're also dipping into a wee bit of music because one of our guests today, Paul English, he nudged us towards helping out with a wee campaign that had been on the go recently. Playlists for Life.
Yes.
And it was basically, everybody knows, a lot of folk know because it's sadly so prevalent these days, but the link between dementia and, if you like, the joy of music.
Yep.
How that, people in that position, they might be struggling to recollect a lot of stuff, but the minute they hear a bit of music for their past, it invigorates them, frankly.
Yep.
I saw it, Stuart, with my own eyes, 6, 7, 8 years ago now, the legendary Scottish cartoonist Malky McCormick was really struggling with dementia. I thought I would go down, give him a wee run down the Ayrshire coast. Malky lived in Fenwick. I would have given his daughter a wee bit of a break as well, a wee bit of time to herself. So I picked up the wee man, got him in the front of the car, and he was glazed over. He didn't know who I was or anything. And I thought, I knew about this thing about the music. So as we were driving, I pulled over at one point. Malky was a huge Skiffle fan, and a huge Lonnie Donegan fan. So you know the sort of crap I've got on my phone with the old Spotify.
Cumberland Gap.
Well, I got on the very best of Lonnie Donegan, and it was like son at David Copperfield with it. It was a magic trick.
Yeah.
It immediately just came to life. A sparkle was back in his eyes, and he sang along to every single song.
Incredible.
He knew every word.
Yeah.
And then lo and behold, when we stopped to get into a wee cafe to go and get a coffee or whatever, or a cone, it was the middle of the summer, he immediately went back to the way he was.
To it was.
Him up.
You see, I would love somebody with all the knowledge and ability to explain the neuroscience of it to me. What is it within the human brain that remembers through music?
And
What is
could that be key to getting a cure?
Yeah,
Is there
yeah.
something there that they'll eventually detect? And you know what?
No, if I have to listen to Lonnie Donegan.
Well, aye, we'll draw the line there. Excuse me, it's getting a lurgy this week. Really struggling here and really hot and sweaty. But we're going to be asking the listeners, what are your 3 songs for life? Right, just a bit of fun here, and 1 for football. So we want your 3 songs for life, 3 songs that resonate with a period, events in your life that you immediately link with them. The song comes on the radio and it immediately takes you back to a moment in your life. And we want the football song. What is the song that always reminds you of a football moment? So that's 4 songs in total. Stuart, you're up first. Give me your 3 songs of life.
3 songs of life, like songs that I kind of that register with me in a big way. Well, I went for Don Thomas's "Come On Train" when I did the playlist for life as part of the campaign. Now, the reason I love that song is it's a song about someone waiting on a train, and it was the song I most loved when I was doing the all-nighters in the 70s, living in Manchester, going to Wigan and Crewe and all of those places. Stafford, loved it, and Don Thomas's "Come On Train" would have signified that for me. I have to say something like "The Saints Are Coming," which is quite a kind of favourite kind of St Johnstone song.
That's your St Johnstone one?
Aye.
So who does "The Saints Are Coming"? Who's that?
That's the Skids, is it, no?
All right, I've got no idea. I just always associate all variations of When the Saints.
Yeah. Although, of course, there's versions of that I really love.
You know, another one for your life, son, it takes you back to a moment at uni. Son, it takes you back to a family member. Is there a song that would resonate about your Uncle Billy or your father?
Well, funnily enough, I think probably the one that I would most remember would be a Marvin Gaye song from the What's Going On album, maybe Save the Children or something like that. When I got that when I was my first year at university, it was vinyl, and I never ever took it off the record player. You know how you do that? You just replay and move the needle back. I just spent probably months of my life luxuriating in that concept album. So that would be one of the all-time classics. Your good self, Tam.
The 3 that I would have gone for, the one that I picked for the campaign was Las Vegas by Tony Christie, which was our soundtrack the first time I went to Vegas, indeed the first time I went to America in 1998, and that was very much the soundtrack of that holiday, me and all my pals. So that'll always take me back to Vegas. The really kind of, which could have been a really dark one, but one that I'll now never forget, Midnight in Moscow, instrumental by Kenny Ball and his Jazzmen.
Yeah.
And basically what that reminds me is the night that Chick Young, Esquire, nearly killed both of us. I was bringing Chick back from an event. Chick had been at a funeral that day. He'd then been to a drinks party. He'd then been to the event. I was the driver. It's fair to say Chick was well and truly buckled. As we were driving back, Midnight in Moscow came on my Spotify in the car. Chick says, "Oh, I love this. And when it came to a particular bit in the tune, which is a long note on the slide trombone.
Correct,
Right, you'll
yeah.
know the bit I mean.
I do.
Chick
Yeah.
launched himself over for the passenger seat, almost right into the driver's seat, to turn the volume up.
Yeah.
And I swerved, I couldn't do anything else, into the outside lane of the motorway.
Oh my God.
And if a lorry, a big Yulin Dodge, had been coming up in our rear,
Yeah.
I wouldn't be sitting here now. So that one still gives me the shivers.
Well, funnily enough, it's a song that I've got very, very fond memories of. My Uncle Alec, who's my dad's best mate in the Union, when he passed away, Midnight in Moscow was his favourite song
Aye.
of all time. They'd gone to Moscow together on a union business, and I remember they played that at his funeral. An
All right.
absolutely haunting and brilliant song.
And incidentally, when you say haunting, you know, it's not always good memories or whatever. Certainly that, isn't it?
No.
That music brings back. But I can't. You know, I had a kind of a torrid time in the. You know, the kind of short period I had at Napier College,
Yes,
right? But
shocking,
a big hit of the time. And I always remember hearing it whenever I was duking out of classes or that, or lectures or anything. If it wasn't getting played in a pal's car, it was getting played in the nearby pub. And it was Got My Mind Set on You by George Harrison. You remember that?
I do remember it, yeah.
1987, I got my mind set on you. I cannot listen to that. Because it was very much a huge tune of that period, kind of October, November 1987, and I seriously can't listen to it. And I'm only mentioning it today because I'm hoping it's quite cathartic.
Yeah,
And
well,
it helps
Tom,
me.
a lot of people have asked me.
Yes.
I've never answered this, but now I think I could make the answer now. People have said, why don't you take calls anymore? This is when Off the Ball give us a call. Remember
Yes.
going back? And there was all sorts of politics around it and whether it was recorded, pre-recorded. But the very, very last call I remember us taking featured our guest, Michelle Mone. Have you heard of her recently?
Yeah, she's been in the news. Aye.
Aye.
Yes, that's right. Was that long
I think
ago
that
then?
was the last ever call we took.
Yeah, it was. So it was a bit of a profanity.
Yeah.
Somebody shouting in something there that we won't repeat now, but it was live.
Yeah.
Nick Montgomery, if you're listening, these things can happen when you're mic'd up live.
Yeah.
Another thing I remember, though, I still wonder will we ever get to the bottom of it, was the strange moment when she was talking about somebody that she'd got her photograph taken with. She handed over her phone to you for you to look at the photo, and whether you were doing it for real or not, or I'm sure you were just
I was doing
winding
it
her
for
up.
real. I was
Were you?
scrolling through
You
her
were
photos.
scrolling through her
Yeah.
photo album. Boy, she went absolutely scarlet.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
raced out her seat, grabbed her phone back off you, and always think, what photograph could you have come across?
David Cameron, a turkey, and Michelle Mone.
Aye, but no, the other thing about no taking the phone calls, let's be brutally honest. When they take some calls now in the kind of Sports Sound Extra on Saturday nights for 5:30, you know, the callers are kind of vetted, if you like.
Yeah.
It's not people phoning in.
No,
It's
it's
Sports
people
Sound
that have
phoning
been,
out.
Yeah, and also they're people that have risen through the ranks at their club, maybe
Aye,
you know, as
and they
kind of
speak-
fanzine editors.
I think
or
they're very good.
podcasters. Yeah.
I've not heard a bad one yet. Whenever the guys that are taking part, representing their club's fans, if you like,
Yep.
they've been excellent. They've been really good, and so it'd be good if they kept that. Incidentally, before we move on, my football song. Out of my songs for life, and you tell me why it would be. Bizarrely, and I watched her miming yet again in the Royal Variety Show last week. It would be Cher and the Shoop Shoop song.
Shoop, shoop
Why would I
song.
pick that as my football song?
Was it number one when Motherwell won the cup?
It was.
Well done, that man.
May 18th, 1991. Check your charts. So that any time I do hear that, and it's still played regularly, it's still used in telly programmes, etc. The minute I hear that, I only listen to the first few seconds, but bang, it immediately takes me back all those years.
I noticed Mary Earps was wearing a kind of Cher outfit. Did
Who?
you see Mary Earps?
No, you've beat me there, is she?
She is the winner of the Sports Personality of the Year awards.
All right. I didn't see it. I just thought I saw the clip of Kenny Dalglish getting his award. What I thought was shocking. You'd almost suspect the programme came from England. Absolute barren in terms of clips of King Kenny at Celtic or with Scotland.
Yeah.
They just concentrated on his career down south, you know.
Yeah.
I thought it was awful. So Mary Earp, she was the
overall winner.
Winner.
Goalkeeper for England in the.
And what did she win? Did they win the World Cup or something?
Came second.
All right. Right. What about the guy who broke the world record for the 1,500 metres?
I'm afraid he was not available.
Well, there we go. Right, that's another box ticked. Right, hopes and fears. Remember, your 3 songs for life. Give us your 3 songs that immediately take you back to a moment in your life and tell us what that moment was. And your football song. Just a song that the minute you hear it, it brings back a super football memory. Hopes and fears for 2024, Stuart. What are you on for?
Do you know what? First up, I've got to turn round and say the hope is the internal hope that St Johnstone thrive throughout the year, end up top 6 in this particular part of the year that we're just talking about, the early part of the year, and then go on and just simply solidify themselves. We were at quite significant risk, I think, 6, 8, 10 months ago, and I think we've passed that now, and I'm just looking for us to be a solid team again.
Well, I'm kind of singing for the same hymn sheet as you'll have seen this week. Our chairman, Jim McMahon, and our interim COE, Derek Weir, they're bowing out next year. And, they've presided over a great period for Motherwell. When you look at it, I mean, it's easy to say, the Rats leaving the ship, 14 games without a win. But when you look at the bigger picture, rather than the games over the past couple of months, a record number of top 6 finishes, record transfer fees come in that period, record season ticket sales, so it's not been a bad period. But
you're very generous, Tam, because that's not what all your fans were saying.
I mean, again, that colours everything.
Yeah.
But I think the way it even works, maybe not just in football, but in business in general, I don't think folk announce they are quitting. Like the night before they do so.
No.
In corporate life, you know what I mean?
No,
but the 14 games without a win, you're right, that's clouded everything here.
Yeah,
but
at the bottom, and football fans pass judgment purely on one thing,
absolutely,
which is performance in the park.
And
they're not interested in how good the academy is. They're not interested in whether they've signed players that are good for the next 3 years. It's like, what are we doing now?
No, and they've hinted at looking at a new kind of financial structure at Motherwell. Talk of investment. I know that I'm not telling any tales out of school by saying, listen, if anybody out there is tuned in and they fancy plunging money and investing in Motherwell, they will absolutely listen to anybody. So on that note,
Michelle, you listening?
on that note, I'm just hoping there's still a Motherwell billionaire out there somewhere.
Well, those days are gone.
Keep him at his distance.
Yeah.
As much as I'd like a man that supports his local club, but so in the same way, there's nothing concrete with it yet, but others talk about the guy Bill Foley, and the Bournemouth kind of guy, and putting money into Hibs. I'm wondering if we can do something like that, or just go for it big style, and for whatever reason, find some sheikh out in Saudi Arabia who's got a soft spot for Motherwell, and let's go for it.
Mm-hmm. A hippie sheikh?
A hippie sheikh.
Yeah.
Let's go for it, and let's go big school and start winning the league and stuff like that. That would be great, but it's not going to happen. My real hope for 2024, we don't even need a lot of folk have hopes for the European Championships. My hope, Stuart, because I've been bumping my gums about it long enough now. I've been bumping my gums long about it now, but try to get a contactless turnstile at football grounds that have got acres of empty seats, that you don't need to worry about the cut-off point for emailing to get a ticket. You don't need to worry about all that guff. If they can't have a cash turnstile, whether they'll admit it or not, because they don't trust people at the gate handling money, and they won't say as much, please have a contactless. Contactless is everywhere now.
Yeah.
Have a contactless turnstile where folk, on a whim, because they fancy getting up to the game, can enter the stadium and put money into the club.
Yeah, and look, the thing is, these contactless devices now are down to about 50 quid to buy. It's not like they're out.
Exactly.
You know.
So come on, and I'm going. I mean, even I'm looking at the. Let's look at the Premier League, right? You've got today, for example, you've got Kilmarnock against St Johnstone.
Yeah.
That's a classic example today. That's not going to be a sellout, Stuart.
No,
Right?
it's not. No.
Get a contactless gate in place and let folk who are saying, you know
Although,
what?
to be fair to Kilmarnock, you can buy tickets up till, I think, 2:40, so 20 minutes
Brilliant.
before
Great.
kick-off.
I salute Kilmarnock then.
And from their office, so I assume that's at the Park Hotel end of the ground, but at least you can do it.
Absolutely brilliant, but still bring in a contactless gate. So, what are your hopes and fears for 2024?
Well, my hopes, so you've already hinted at this.
You got a
I hope-
fear?
I hope Scotland has a great tournament over.
And what would be a great tournament in your
A
eyes?
great tournament, in my eyes, would be for us to go unbeaten in our first 3 games. A draw against Germany, a draw against Switzerland, and beating Hungary.
And that's us
going
through.
through. I would love that.
And
I
who would you
love
like to play in the knockout?
Well, Brazil can't qualify, can they?
No, they're not in it this year. A poor record in that competition, actually, haven't they?
Shocking,
Haven't they?
haven't
Keep
Why
raving about
people
them.
sook up to them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Would you take England?
Take Dundee.
Would you take England?
No, I
Knockout?
want them to hell because look,
about the
thing is,
final?
they're not good for us. Because the thing is, we start to actually see the game differently.
Aye, I know.
We don't, it's just wrong.
But bearing in mind that would mean we're in the final. So
Yeah.
think of the joy it comes with that. Would you take them in the final?
Yes, actually.
Would that be
I
the best ever time to get a result against England?
That
Could
would
you
be
think of a better
fantastic.
occasion?
Aye, exactly.
Right, good.
Yeah. And
listen.
can I just say one other thing?
Yeah.
Just a wee hope. A hope that sometime over the next 6 months, I beat my son at chess.
Oh, is he?
Oh, he's just taken up chess, and before you know it, he says, I'll give you a game of chess. He started playing it like drafts, and then I noticed that actually he was doing all the right moves.
Right.
And he's absolutely slaughtered me. I'm 3-0 down.
Could be a child genius with that, Stuart.
Aye, or a cheat.
Nudge him in the right area with that. Oh, aye, don't let something like that slip. Our final talking point, just a wee quickie one at the end. Christmas on a Loop, Pluto TV. One of these mad channels that you'll find on the telly. They're putting It's a Wonderful Life, which I still haven't seen.
Yeah.
It's a Wonderful Life. They're putting that basically in a 24/7 loop. They're showing it constantly, time and time again, from, I think it was from Thursday there, right through until January the 2nd. So what we're asking you here, and you're only allowed one nomination, what is the Christmas TV or film moment that you would happily watch on a loop? You've got to watch it constantly, strapped to your armchair, with maybe a wee selection box for company, right, and a glass of Baileys, but
Yeah.
you've got to just watch this over and over and over again, and you think you could cope without getting off your head. Stuart?
Well, I keep talking this up, but the movie version of Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, and this is where the circus
Christmas?
have their annual Christmas party,
Oh.
right? And Santa arrives with Vladimir Lenin's face mask on, right? So of course they're the big enemy is Karla and the Soviets, right? But they sing as a kind of mocking Christmas song. They sing the Russian national anthem, and it's a brilliant Christmas scene in which George Smiley sees his wife canoodling with a significant other character.
All right, right, and you can happily watch that. You'd watch the full thing, but you would take that Christmas bit out of it, aye?
Yeah, because in lots of ways, the Christmas scene in Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy is a metaphor for the whole film.
Right, for to watch a full episode of Son, and indeed I watched it again the other night, it would be one of the Christmas specials of the royal family. It was the new sofa.
All right, yeah.
When they go over
I remember
to
that,
Denise's house, and she's cooking the dinner, the turkey, they've got it in the warm bath, they've
Yeah.
done everything with it, it's no defrost it, they end up with carrot crunch, they're basically eating, and it's just a brilliant episode, and they've got the reclining sofa, which is what the episode is titled after. It's just joyous. hilarious. It's absolutely brilliant. The first time I saw it, I was wetting myself. But if I had to be just a moment within a show, the one sketch, very much a Christmas special sketch that I could watch time and time again, is the Andre Previn masterpiece from Morecambe and Wise.
Yeah.
From one of their mid-70s Christmas specials.
So how can it be that the BBC produces The Royal Family, Morecambe and Wise, and Sports Personality of the Year? How can the same institution get it so profoundly, awfully wrong and so brilliantly right?
It's standards. It's changed days.
Yeah.
But listen, that's why I'd go. So listen, what is the Christmas TV or film moment that if you had to watch it over and over and over and over again, you could cope with it, you wouldn't get fed up, you wouldn't be for slitting your throat? And our team of the week, it's a one-off. We only get to do it annually. So the Christmas 11. The Christmas 11, and the ones we had this morning, very easy. Noel Hunt,
Yeah.
with him in there. We had Andy Carroll, lots of carols at this time of year. And of course, Brussels Latapy.
Brussels Latapy.
So if you've got any others of those, get them in. But that was the week that was. Nick Montgomery being mic'd up, the Green Brigade, the European Super League, Derek Adams, it's still rumbling on. 3 songs from your life. What would the 3 be that really resonate with you? And what is your football song? A song that always takes you back to a football event. Hopes and fears for 2024 and Christmas in a loop. 80295 in a text. You can email off the ball at bbc.co.uk, and we're about to be joined momentarily by, as I say, Paul English and Scottish top stand-up comic Mark Jennings.
And Tam, can I personally thank you for not asking me what I really think of Philippe Clement this week?
The St Johnstone fans are bristling.
Yeah.
And you know the way football works, and this is going to come back to bite him. He hit out at a player getting kicked off the park. What's he said about if a Rangers player did that, he would hammer them and stuff like that?
Aye.
He's teed himself up for somebody getting in a cruncher on Big Theo Bain or something on Sunday at Fir Park, and then we'll wait to see what happens. But I agree with him. I think you're hammer throwers.
Yeah, well, thank you for that. I have a different thought, which I will publish in the future. I think that he was. I think that he was guilty of. What would the word be? What's the word when someone looks at something in the future and it would be almost fake probability? He's one of these guys that kind of says, well, you know what, if that had happened, that would have happened. So he said if one of his players had had both feet on the ground, it would have been a leg-breaking challenge. You think, well, they didn't.
That's it's our old snowball argument, isn't it? If that snowball had a razor blade in it, you know, if that pyro had been let off when a guy was standing with a bale of hay, there could have been a fire. It's one of them, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's get our guests in, Mark Jennings and Paul English.
When I was a kid, I rode quakes on the skate, and I ate everything mama put on my plate. Niggas walked around packing BB guns, knock on your door and run just for fun. We went to the store and sold bottles of a nickel, the piece of bone, a big bag of Cheetos and a pickle. You could get a soda for less than a quarter, and people used to speak even if they didn't know ya. We fought in the streets like little black soldiers, shake hands and still be friends when it was over. We used to play tag and hide and go seek, or hide and go get it if we had a few freaks. But now things change, kids ain't the same. They bang and slang and blow our brains. I wish I could go back, but wishing this for suckers. Life was so simple then. I remember.
Of course, Paul English has been working on the playlist and the Memory Project. Paul, tell us a wee bit more about it.
Playlist for Life. They're a great organisation. That basically they put into practice what a lot of people kind of experience almost anecdotally. And I know this happened to me when I was growing up, when my grandmother had Alzheimer's disease, and my mum would play. It was an old Daniel O'Donnell tape singing old Irish folk tunes. And so every Sunday when my granny would come up, by the time she was kind of in her early 70s and the disease was beginning to take hold, my gran would sit. My mum would put the Daniel O'Donnell thing on it, with all the old Irish, all the old Irish tunes, and she would sit and sing along to them. At the point where she was beginning to forget who some of the members of her family were, she could remember the lyrics to these songs. So that's essentially what Playlists for Life do. They take that kind of that understanding that music can access memories. Personally meaningful music can access memories in people who are becoming memory impaired.
Yeah,
Right, so what are your three then? Let's get on with it and then we'll get Mark's in a minute.
Okay,
Your three from your life.
Well, from my life, well, probably. I mean, I hosted a night for Playlists for Life earlier in the year, and
The bad news is they forgot to pay your invoice.
not yet. And the song that I started, because they asked me to talk about one of my own songs for Playlists for Life at that point. And I thought, well, actually, the songs, the bands that I remember most clearly from my very, very early days are bands like ABBA. And ABBA was the band that I learned to play a record player with. My granny that was babysitting me, and my mum had given her the instructions as to how to work the record player. And she went out and come back in and said, "How did you get on with the record player?" And she says, "Oh, I didn't touch it. He worked it himself." And I was 3 or something like that.
Right, so is
it'd
it
be
a particular ABBA track?
Super Trooper.
Right, okay. Well, you know what? That resonates me right away. When I get a tape recorder, a radio cassette, which was my big Christmas present, it'd have been 1980, I think. And the tape that I got to accompany it, very generously, my mum and dad also got me a tape so that I could actually play with it. It was the big ABBA album of that time that had Super Trooper and all that on it.
Which was the album Super Trooper.
Was it the album? Is that what
Yeah.
it was called?
Yeah.
Right, another two for you, though.
Another
Resonate
two
with your life.
So I obviously, you guys have been very generous and allowing me to plug the fact a couple of years back I wrote Deacon Blues official history.
Indeed, yeah.
So there would need to be a Deacon Blues song in there, and it would probably be Dignity, because it was the first song that really I remember being one of the moments that I remember from my teenage days would be being at the big day. Stuart, we've talked about that a lot.
Yeah.
Over the years in 1990, the kind of pinnacle of the Glasgow City of Culture celebrations, and being there with 200,000 people singing that song that night is a memory that will never leave me.
Yeah.
Okay, third one.
Third one would be a song that I just kind of... I remember the first time I heard this song being played, I thought it was Cilla Black singing it. There's a guy called David McCalman from McCalman and Butler, and the song Yes, which became one of my very favourite songs when I was a student. And you want a football one, so as a Celtic fan, as somebody that stood and sung it many a
Sack
time.
the board.
Which I noticed it got a revival recently.
Aye. It's good when he brings songs back.
I know.
A wee teary moment there. You'll Never Walk Alone.
Yeah.
Right, okay. Mark, welcome to the show again.
Thanks for having me.
Not your debut, and I think everything's gone sweet for you now. Just now, Mark, I've watched your YouTube special.
Thank you.
How did that come out? How does that stuff even work? Because, right, you get at the absolute top end of all that stuff, you get Ricky Gervais, his next Netflix special is coming out on Christmas Day.
That's right, aye.
Is this like you doing your own version of that and almost like producing it yourself?
I am getting paid £200 million to put mine out
Great.
on,
Great.
Well done.
on YouTube, so I'm on the money. No, well basically I done the King's Theatre in March for the Glasgow Comedy Festival, and I thought, I might only get one crack at this, so I want to capture it. So a mate of mine, Nick Avchain, is a great director that I know, and he got a crew together and we just filmed it, and I spent, to be honest, most of the money I made for the tickets on filming it.
But well worth it. It's very polished. It looks beautiful.
I'm really happy with how it came out, and I've got loads of clips for social media and stuff like that, which is what you need nowadays for everything, really.
Mark, one of the things that I've often talked to comedians about is they sometimes feel that when they put their show on TV or on a DVD, or in your case on a YouTube channel, that it kind of blows the material and you have to start again.
Yeah, well, that's a good challenge, because it forces you to do that, and I think having that way where you do burn the material and then you start again. All of a sudden, I'm already working on next year's thing and want to do it again, and it then gets you into a kind of good process of like flow and trying to just do it year on year, because it used to be there would be people that would do the same material for 20 years, and that's so to stop yourself getting too stale. If you set yourself that challenge, then you're only going to get better.
So before we get your three songs, give us a wee tip. There'll be a lot of folk watching a lot of telly over the next week or so. Apart from the eagerly awaited Ricky Gervais Armageddon show on Christmas Day, you got a wee top tip for us, Sonny, you think we'd enjoy? Maybe another comedian, a stand-up.
Well, actually, a good mate of mine, Stephen Buchanan, is releasing his special on the same YouTube channel mine's is on Boxing Day. So Stephen Buchanan done like a kind of sketch stand-up hybrid thing, and he filmed at the Stand too long ago. So check that out as well as mine. It's on our YouTube channel.
And so that you don't fall out with him, what about your third compadre?
Stuart McPherson, he's also got his special out. So his and mine are both up in the Some Laugh YouTube channel. That's our podcast.
Honest
I didn't want him falling out with you.
honest assessment, Mark. Where are we with comedy? Because we know that there's, A-list comedians that can fill the biggest theatres in the UK and are doing very well for themselves commercially. And we know that there's always a new generation of comedians coming through. But what's the health of the scene in Scotland?
I think the Scottish scene's really, really healthy at the moment. And I think part of it is down to the fact that you can have your own autonomy. It used to be like, there'd maybe be the Scottish person that would get on live at the Apollo or Motor Week or whatever. Whereas now you can just, find your audience, and a lot of people suddenly are doing that, and they're selling out shows, and they're no the big arena people, but you can you can tour and do loads of shows in Glasgow and stuff like that off of the back of that. And I just think that the comedy circuit in general is really strong at the moment. A lot of people had a really good Fringe from Scotland this year and stuff like that. So yeah, there's loads of cracking comics out there, and you can check them out at comedy clubs throughout the country.
Yeah,
good.
Now,
Excellent.
your 3 songs, Mark, before we get any further with the 3 for Paul, we've given ours earlier. 3 songs that take you back to moments in your life.
Oh, well, the first one that struck me was once I left uni and got I managed to get a job in a call centre right as I was getting into the Smiths, and heaven knows I'm miserable now. It struck me because I was looking for a job and then I found a job, and heaven knows I'm miserable now. That was never a truer word spoken from Big Morrissey. That's a weird one, right? But see, when I was about 20 or something, and me and my mates went to Ayia Napa for the sort of lads' holiday, and one day I'd been listening to a song on my iPod, and my mate heard it and he was laughing. He thought it was funny I was putting it on. So we had kind of control of like the iPod for the pool for like the whole kind of hotel place, and so we just kept playing it, and it was George Michael, Careless Whisper, and we just played it on repeat over and over. And the thing about that is like the saxophone, it kind of dies down towards the end, so it sort of fades out, and you think that's it, and then but we just had it on repeat, so then it just blast up again, like, and I just hear everybody laughing and everybody else going, "Oh no, turn that off." But that was our holiday song.
Right, and a third?
Third one for me is actually kind of the inverse of the Heaven Knows I'm Miserable Now. Have you ever heard that song? It's Baz Luhrmann, I think, wrote it. It's called Everybody's Free to Wear Sunscreen. And it's just got a lot of positive messages and wee tips for life and all that. And that was one that got me through some tough times in that call centre, actually, going just die.
Yeah, Mark, I don't know. It'd be interesting to get Paul's view on this. Morrissey has maybe departed somewhat from maybe his early days, and there's a lot of people kind of jumping ship on him, thinking, "Oh, I've had it with that guy. He talks nonsense."
Yeah.
Has he been someone that you regret the journey he's gone on?
Yeah, I think so. And I've not listened to the Smiths in a long time now, actually. And I think part of the reason is because I'm just like, Morrissey's always coming out with these dodgy statements, isn't he? So yeah, it's sort of sullied it a bit for me.
Yeah, and Paul, for yourself, can you fall out of love with a musician?
Yeah, definitely. So I was someone who listened. I used to listen to Ryan Adams, who was and still is the lead singer of the Cardinals. He also sang in a band called Whiskey Town. Yeah, and he was involved in. Well, he was reported. It was a report in the New York Times last year, the year before, in fact, I think it was, about some of his alleged behaviours, let's just say. And some of it was found not to have been the case, but he did sort of, admit that his behaviour had fallen short of what he would have liked to have, upheld as his own personal standard. Yeah. And at that time, because I was so into his music and so into his lyrics, actually, and had been, and he was prolific, so much music there, and I used to go and see him all the time as well. That was my first example, or my first experience of thinking, what do I do here? I can't listen to his words and I can't listen to his music the same way. So I listen to him a whole lot less. Yeah, I have listened to him again, and I do follow him on social media. And I think there's I don't know. It's a very complicated thing. There's room for people to come back from setbacks, atone publicly, and try and be a better person publicly.
See, that happened to me even with my old chum, my dear old the late great Sidney Devine. But when he played Sun City, I went, you know, I mean, it was a good earner for him, but we fell out for a wee while after that. Mark,
although, talking about that, I was something I hadn't been aware of, and it was only the anniversary of it yesterday, was Dusty Springfield being thrown out of South Africa for playing in front of a mixed crowd. 64 it was, and there's some photographs of Dusty Springfield with the Polis being huckled out of South Africa for having played to a mixed race audience. It was not a story I knew, but Dusty, what a queen she is.
Isn't it interesting though, the whole kind of, because the Sun City thing happened before social media.
Yes.
And there was media covering the fact that these artists were playing in apartheid South Africa and getting paid handsomely for it.
Yeah.
But they didn't get cancelled the way that people do now.
Interestingly, I was at the NME at the time, and I remember writing a scathing piece on Paul Simon, who was one of the kind of prominent figures. There was others as well. And it felt like the African National Congress would publish a list of people who were doing Sun City, and the ANC were, of course, probably against it because it was an apartheid venue, and they were always on our case at the NME about, get into this lot. This is who's doing it this month. And, of course, Paul Simon was probably the most prominent.
Yeah.
Mark, your team is?
Celtic.
Oh, Celtic as well. Oh, my God, we're going to get slaughtered. Right. I thought you were.
Is it not a requirement of the media?
Why is it? You're right. The arts. The people from the arts in Scotland.
Theatre,
they all seem to support Celtic. I don't know why that is. But Mark, if you like Paul, have you got a song that will immediately take you back to something Celtic?
Well, I'll tell you what, it's actually a Scotland example I've got, and it's no strictly an actual football song, but it was just that one fella this year with the Georgia game, and when they play it, obviously it gets the rain delay, and then when the DJ played Why Does It Always Rain on Me, I just thought that was absolutely beautiful. And because that's a sort of song that sort of sums up kind of what it's like to be Scottish, and it's always raining, and that metaphor for being sad and all that. But it felt as though, like, the way that Steve Clarke's team is sort of like, got over that thing of glorious failure and all that. It's almost like we reappropriated that song. And like, we are winning this game, and we're going to play it, and we're going to win and get through it. And it was just like a sort of jubilant moment.
I think you're right. I think there's a lot of Scotland fans who, when they hear that track now, they'll immediately think back to that night.
You used the word there, reappropriation, Mark, and I think that the Tartan Army have been fantastic at that over the years. I mean, although it's probably fading out now, Do a Deer, and then Yes Sir I Can Boogie, and Why Does It Always Rain on Me. They've got a great song list, and if you're abroad and Scotland fans are there and they're in a pub, you'd get people saying, why are they singing this? What's that? Because it's not like football can. It's like just different. Absolutely. Obviously 500 miles being another one,
And Paul, a lot of stuff going on this week. Indeed, that's the first time we've had you in the studio without your balaclava, which is nice. So you're adhering to the rules.
Absolutely.
But your hopes and fears for Celtic in 2024, because it's been a strange old time.
Yeah, it has, hasn't it? It's weird. There was a point where it all felt like it was beginning to click under the new manager. Probably the autumn, kind of tail end of the summer into the autumn, and now it feels very much like it's not clicking. So yeah, it's weird. Hopes. Well, the hopes are what they would always be, that we end up with a decent amount of silverware at the end of the season. But my fears are that might be a bit less of a kind of foregone conclusion than it maybe has been.
And is it all fears about the state Celtic apparently currently find themselves in, or is it you think that Rangers under Clement appear to be on the rise and a wee bit more about them?
Actually, Mark and I were just talking about it outside. I think that's the case. I think Rangers have a decent manager, and the phrase I always use is that their tails are up at a point where Celtic's tails are maybe slightly down, and that always makes for an interesting dynamic, especially when you've got something like the 30th of December coming up.
Oh, of course, you've got that. Wait, that one's at
Celtic Park,
and still no away
fans. No, they've blown that, haven't they? Absolutely blown it with their rivalries and their you did that, so we're doing this and everything. Just open it up to away fans.
It was funny at the Feyenoord game the other night, where there was the best atmosphere I can remember for quite a wee while, because you had a legitimate and decent sized away fans, you know,
in the stadium.
Great.
attendance, and there was a real feeling
And there was no bother
No,
at that, no, because when I saw you'll all have seen it, but the footage of them, I think, walking for Royal Exchange Square in Glasgow, right along George Street,
Yep.
and then down the high street and out to the ground. There must have been, how many Feyenoord fans? But 3,000 or
I would say there was more than that.
more,
yeah, I
aye.
would
It
say
was,
so.
it was incredible.
Yep.
And as long as there's no bother, a bit like the Eintracht Frankfurt fans who were banned from Granty, Pataudry,
Yeah.
but they still went and they stood up
Stood
the
up
old
in the
famous
hang,
hill
yeah,
where
yeah.
we all used to get chased.
See, it's interesting you should say that. Everybody now, as they reflect back on the European Cup final, the 7-3 Real Madrid Eintracht Frankfurt thing, a lot of people will say things like, well, they saw Puskás and they saw Di Stefano and all the rest of it. I know nothing about the fans. Did Real Madrid and Eintracht Frankfurt bring a lot of fans? It was in Hampden. I think it was a right decent crowd.
I think for that game, what was that, 1960? Aye, the famous.
Maybe even just before
Seven-
that, but
7-3?
certainly, yeah,
That might
7-3.
come out.
Yeah.
I think I would love to know the answer, but I think the vast majority was local football fans who were suddenly able to see these
geniuses,
hugely glamorous
yeah.
when you couldn't watch them on the telly
Yeah.
three times a week. You know what I mean? That must have been a right occasion.
Well, the thing about it was, I was talking about this to somebody the other day, there was no televised football at all. TV hadn't yet evolved to that level. And I remember, whether it was the SFA or whether it was a entrepreneurial group of filmmakers, they actually got 16mm film and filmed the game. So the game was on film but not on television. And what they did then is they toured it around community clubs and youth clubs in Scotland for months and months after the game. And I remember going along the first time I'd ever seen the flickering images of football on a screen.
Yeah.
And it was astonishing watching it. Now, I've mentioned this before in the show, but of course, Real Madrid had Hento, Di Stefano, Puskás. I mean, the great Real Madrid, maybe one of the greatest football teams of all time. And Eintracht Frankfurt scored 3 goals and they'd knocked Rangers out in the semi-final, and they were a very, very good team. But the thing that really struck me at the time was their midfield player, who was a really tasty player, was called Dieter Stinker, right? And when the commentator kept saying Stinker, stink on the ball, what are 11-year-old Scottish guys going to do? They're up cheering the guy. Cheering him.
Before I do some text and email, boys, your gut reaction to Nick Montgomery being mic'd up in the Edinburgh Derby, it's a baffling one.
I'm really excited to see it. I only found out recently, I was saying off air, that I watched that Graham Taylor documentary that they done years ago where they mic'd him up. And I had no idea that existed and stuff, and then I watched it, and it's like, because he said that thing, was it, do I not like that? Or something?
Do I not like that? Yeah, it became his catchphrase,
And it's amazing to me, actually, in a way, that they've not done that more. I know, obviously, there's good reasons probably why they don't want to be mic'd up, but it's fascinating, and I think for fans, like, especially if you've never played, particularly at professional level, you want to know what they're saying to each other. It's a shame they never had that.
And he ended up going up to the linesman saying, you got me sacked. You've just got me sacked.
That's right.
And he said it in a very polite, nice way. He put an arm around and says, thank you very much. You've just got me the sack. Thank you. Now, am I right in saying Graham Taylor didn't swear?
I don't think he did. Oh no, he never. It was meant to not usually, but then I think he did on that recording.
There a couple of sneak in.
he did.
Paul, what was your thoughts on it?
I mean, it's bizarre, but it does make you think, doesn't it, about, you know, what lies ahead in terms of this becomes entertainment. This becomes an aspect of the game. You know, can you foresee a time, or 10 or 15 or 20 years down the line, where football, the entertainment of the game, is not enough in itself? You have to be listening to the sort of personal dynamics and what the manager's saying. You could see how if this becomes a success, that will.
I mean, a counter argument would be it should give us greater insight into how a manager manages the 95 minutes of the game and what the decisions he's taken and how he impacts that. I'm really excited by it because, I mean, really, if he swears, he swears. Who cares?
Well, they start thinking, you know, it makes you wonder if they're going to start performing, you know, in the years to come. Will that be part of what they consider? How are they going to come across? It'll be part of this PR consideration for the football. Think about, they all stand about talking to each other on the pitch at the moment with their hands over them.
I know.
You know?
But you know the other thing that I was thinking there, I mean, we're saying, is Nick Montgomery going to swear or whatever? The bottom line is that Nick Montgomery is not a stupid man. He knows that he'll be mic'd up. He'll be able to see
yeah.
the microphone. So it might be a bit like us when we're sitting 30 years of this with a microphone in front of you. You don't swear. So
Yeah.
maybe Nick Montgomery, he'll be aware of that. So maybe we're making too much of this.
I wonder, I don't know if the swearing's really the key thing for me, because I think they've chosen him because, in a way, it's going to be a big experiment. He's an Englishman working in Scotland. I think he's quite an articulate manager. I think it will be added value rather than worrying about whether he says the wrong word or not, you know.
We can only wait and see.
Yeah, Kenny McIntyre's joined us.
But
Kenny,
before he's in he's going to be in the waiting list here. We've got one final thing to ask Paul and Mark, and then that's us cleaned it all up. Christmas on a Loop. Pluto TV are showing It's a Wonderful Life again and again and again and again on a loop until January 3rd. What is the one Christmas moment from TV or film that you could happily watch ad nauseum?
Right,
Oh,
well, I mean, this is maybe slightly cheating and bending the rules here, but I just came across something yesterday that I have already been watching on a loop.
Right.
But it's strictly speaking not TV or film. It's a clip that may have been on television.
It's all right, we'll give you that.
It's on...
Oh, no, the 67 Cup final. Oh, that old chestnut. Let it go. Let it go.
It's something, a clip of a choir in Dublin, right? They're called the Ramparts Chamber Choir, and they're singing in a pub. It's a male
aye,
male
the
voice
Shane
choir.
McGowan tribute.
And they're singing
aye.
Fairy Tale in New York, and it is absolutely jaw-droppingly good.
haunting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
Right, no, we'll give you that. It's very Christmassy. Mark, yourself?
Do you know, my favourite one is, I don't know how niche this will be, but Not Always Sunny in Philadelphia, the sitcom. They done a Christmas episode and they had Danny DeVito at one point comes out of a couch naked and then just sort of crawls along the floor and runs out of an office party. And I could watch that scene on a loop forever. It was just the funniest thing. It was absolutely brilliant.
Right, get your nominations in. That was the week that was. All your thoughts, Nick Montgomery and all the football stuff. 3 songs for life. We'll ask Kenny McIntyre that in a minute. Just 3 songs that trigger something when you look back in your life. And your football song. One song that you immediately associate with something football related. Your hopes and fears for 2024. And you just heard there Christmas to Look. The team of the week is the Christmas 11. We've got Noel Hunt. We had Mistletoe Andre Flo. We had Andy Carroll and Brussels Latipe. On that note, just before we go to Kenny, the big question, and we can only ask it in a show today, this time of year.
Something's gone wrong, Tam.
What?
Something has gone badly wrong with this show. Normally, we would have had a turkey in already. We
were
can't think
struggling
of
with that.
turkey, aye.
I think it's, and they were going to start saying, well, who's the closest you would get to a turkey? Now, turkeys in the past were basically guys that ordinarily Celtic or Rangers had spent millions on and they had been rotten, right?
Yeah.
But they don't tend to spend... I mean, that rake of
Well,
boys
they have that many of them, they cancel each other out.
Is there, give me a turkey at Celtic and Paul. Who'd be deemed a turkey?
I'm not going to be. I'm going to say Shane Duffy from recent times.
Yeah.
Shane Duffy
All right,
is probably
yes.
the kind of the example. Some people might say Phillips is in a similar mould, but let's give him a better chance.
Right,
Yeah.
Mark, can you add to that or even chuck in one for Rangers? Because you mentioned Dessers and Lammers. I don't know what the story is there. Are they back on side? And one of them scored their Archie Gemmill-esque goal. Danilo still seems to be £6 million, and he still seems to be responsible for a few sitters.
Howlers,
It's
yeah.
no close to your classic days of Tony Cascarino or Seb Rosenthal.
And Sesko.
So has I mean, you can't get a turkey at any other of the clubs because they don't pay
That
huge
kind of money. Aye,
so
yeah.
it doesn't work.
Yeah.
But anyhow,
Yeah.
if you can help us out with that, get them in. But the question I'm wanting to know, Stuart, we only get to ask it this time of year, who does Santa really support? Now, we were thinking this week it obviously wasn't Celtic because he's got the petit lip when your fans were booing him last week when he made his appearance at Celtic Park. And some might say, he's a Rangers man, because Rangers quite cleverly got somebody in a Santa suit after getting booed at Celtic. I thought it was a brilliant moment to go out and show off the trophy.
Hey, just help me, Tam. That trophy they were showing off, was I right in saying that when St Johnstone won it, it was called a Diddy
Cup.
Oh, aye, yes.
Right, okay. So now it's one of the most perilous, beautiful pieces.
Absolutely. The DVD will be in the Rangers Club store as I speak. I guarantee you, even though the game was mince. Right, Kenny. We've got Kenny McIntyre here. What's on Sports Sound, Kenneth?
We have commentary from Celtic Park. Celtic against Livingston. Top v bottom here. Big surprise, I know. Yes.
Wait a minute. Celtic, we were
top
loving.
plays bottom.
Top
Yes.
plays bottom. So what do you think? Kyogo, he's no scored for about maybe 7 minutes, Stuart.
Aye.
And then you can get the knitting out.
Yeah.
What would you have said last week, though?
You've
What
got-
would you have said last week
That
ahead of
doesn't matter
Celtic against
last
Hearts?
week. Stop your what about
Come
today
on.
on this
Yeah,
show.
exactly, aye.
We're talking about, third against fourth, Hearts against St Mirren.
Yes. Terrific game.
Yeah.
In prospect there.
So is it, own up, is it just that you're going to do the Celtic or Rangers game every week? Is that the deal now?
Well, I do not make these decisions.
I was just Glasgow
which
centric.
you know fine and well.
We've been trying to get away from this for years.
I know.
Well, that is a commentary game. All the games in the top flight are on open all mics, plus a game from the Championship. Goal news from right across the country, so all the listeners will be served again this afternoon. We've got fans of lots of clubs coming on. I think this is a good time of year to highlight this as well. One of the fans that's coming on, he is a Kilmarnock fan. He's a podcaster. He's on the park at half time today, getting thanks for food bank collections that they've organised.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Two of my kids, St Mirren fans, they're spending 3 hours on Christmas Day delivering meals that are getting cooked up at the club around the community.
Right, but that doesn't get you off
I'm
the
just-
hook
I'm-
with
I'm
doing
trying to change the
Celtic
subject.
Livingston as your commentary game. That's
It'd be
good.
good. What happens if
Check
Livingston...
out some message boards. Even Celtic fans
If
will have a go at you the day.
If Livingston happen to score...
Oh, God,
If
right.
it goes to 60, 70 minutes and Celtic haven't scored, you will hear it like you did last week, coming through the airways, real tension, real anger. So there's a lot to be played for.
I have to say, actually, I was at the game last week, and I will be at the game today. And there was a guy sits behind me who is, and one of my mates, Dave. He also, we were talking in the pub afterwards about this. He listens to the commentary at the game, and of course, we used to have the guys that used to sit there with a wee
tranny,
tranny at the rear. But the guy sitting behind me was able to say, we were sitting in the main stand. And you can't really see the director's box. You're aware it's a long layer to the right, but he was able to tell us because of what Michael Stewart was talking about what was going on in the main stand in the director's box.
And my goodness, the stuff that was coming down, I think you mentioned, I had to apologise on several occasions for what was coming down the airways, but it was real drama there, and that was a major shock. It was just the week before with a Hearts fan in the 5:30 slot absolutely slaughtering Stephen Naismith after they had lost up at Aberdeen that week, so it was a terrific result. We've got, obviously, the game in Dingwall, that's called off. I think it's a fantastic thing that we're going to hear from Nick Montgomery, as you guys are speaking about.
What's your take on this?
I think it's fantastic. I mean, I watch a lot of golf, so for example, in golf in the last couple of years, when they're in the zone and the tee off and that 18 holes, you don't go near them. But now, when they've hit their tee shot in the third or the fourth hole, the reporter goes over, they chat to them as they're walking up to hit their next shot. And that's a new innovation. I think that's a really good insight.
What are the pitfalls, Kenny? What are the pitfalls for you with Nick Montgomery?
I think I'd maybe want to hear a slightly more exciting manager doing it.
See, that's where the danger comes in, though. He seems quite placid.
What, with a kind of Belgian accent, maybe?
He's been very impressive, you'd have to
very
say.
impressive, yes. I
Do you know
thought
what-
he misrepresented himself this week, but...
Did he?
I think so, yeah. I think he just put up fake probabilities that were not actually happening. If he'd had both feet on the ground, that would have been a leg-breaking challenge. He didn't have both feet on the ground.
It was a dreadful challenge,
It
though, wasn't
was
it?
not a leg-breaking challenge.
Did you think it was a dreadful challenge?
Which one are you talking about? The
Sending off.
The sending off, I thought it was a poor challenge brought about by his first touch being really clumsy. And
that's all it was. Yeah, I agree with that.
And to be honest, I think it deserved a red card. Yellow, when he went for yellow, I wasn't arguing about it. But when they went to VAR, I thought this is a red, But Clement then went on about a tackle that Phillips did elsewhere in the game. You're just thinking, oh, come on,
The way Scottish football works, I think there's going to be a Rangers player goes in, studs up, and a Motherwell guy tomorrow, and then folk will be saying to Clement, right, come on then, you said you were going to hammer him that does that for your team, that's the way football works.
I think he would, though. I may be wrong, but I think he would. Two other things today. We've got John Nelms, the Dundee Supremo joining us. So to talk about the new stadium plan, just smiling, Stuart, do you think we'll ever see it built?
Well, I hope so, because they've suffered enough. But I think that, well, he'll disappear, won't he? This is not his parting shot, and I'm off. And here's a nice bit of 3D design
I could
that
maybe
an
do that too, about 20 past two.
An architect did for me as a favour up in.
And
Good
cut
luck
to the
to them.
chase. What about
Good
the
luck
music
to them.
at 5:30?
Chick is
Oh,
in
Chick,
charge
of
of the
course,
music
he's talking
tonight.
about it with me
Yes,
during the week.
he's in charge of the music tonight. So I have
So you've got
heard
the 3.
Yes, and one I had never heard of before, and it's a really bizarre choice.
Give me
I
the
have to say.
initials of the artiste if it's just a singer.
I don't think you'll get it. And it's not me, KM.
Kylie Minogue.
No.
Oh, good shout.
That was a good shout.
Aye.
And here's one other thing today. I'm sure you guys have lots to say on this. So, football finance expert Kieran Maguire, he's terrific. The Price of Football podcast. He's joining us about 2:30 to talk about this European Super League being back on the table and the potential impact on Scottish football should Rangers and or Celtic join. So if one joins, the other will have to join because of the financial benefits they'll receive. He's going to speak about where that will leave the other clubs, how much the gulf will grow, and also just quite an interesting example. He's going to speak
since the BBC won't win the rights to it, the other clubs will benefit from BBC televising their games.
I think so.
And it'll be good to hear some other teams getting the main commentary on sports now.
Never happened. But he's going to speak about Hibs as well, because his experience of Bill Foley investing in football clubs and what Hibs fans should expect from that. So it's going to be busy today. The fans are coming on and say lots of good things that the fans do at this time of year, so we're hearing from a lot of them. I'm also going to put it to the fans, maybe I cut into you guys in the studio, just throw this at you as you do to me. So just a wee theme with the fans today. I'm going to ask them to give us their cult hero from their
cult hero
game.
From now or from all time.
Any time you've been watching the game, who's the cult hero for you at your football club through the years?
John Phillippen.
Yeah.
Yep.
Driving instructor now, isn't he?
He's a driving instructor. He was recently inducted into the Motherwell Hall of Fame, and he was very, very unfairly left out of the squad when you only were allowed 2 subs back in 91, having played in the quarterfinals and the semi-final, and it was a real sore one. It could, you talk now about mental health and everything. That could have been really damaging for that guy, and he's still hurt by it. So, cult hero, and the other things that you add into being a cult hero. At one point, he had officially the hardest shot in Scottish football. So, wee gems like that, but no a name that everybody knows, no a name that everybody remembers. Hence, a cult hero. Stuart.
I'm actually going to go with somebody right now, and that's Fran Franchak, our young player.
He was terrific the other night.
The youngest player in the club's history. He came on as a subbie against Hibs and then played his first full game at home against Hibs. He's Frey Aberfeldy from a Polish family. He is an absolute dynamite. And here's the thing. The Polish FA have already been in contact with St Johnstone about him going into their age group international. See if we lose him and he's Frey Aberfeldy in Perthshire. That will be it with me and the SFA and their ladder of achievement and all that guff that they come out
he was
with.
terrible. What a frame he's got on him for a 16. He was terrific the other night.
Really
handled. Anyone else? Cult heroes?
I think the first one that comes to me for Celtic is Paddy McCourt.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He was just like, he's just a throwback to like a guy for the 70s or something. And he did look a bit like Charles Manson. So
And did they
cult leader,
did they only play him in games that they thought they were guaranteed to win?
yeah, I think so.
And Paul, every opportunity I had at any Motherwell event during the Stuart McCall era, I begged Stuart McCall to go and try and get this guy on loan at Motherwell because he wasn't getting a sniff at Celtic. But any time he did play, he invariably scored an absolute perler and he ran defences riot, but he just wasn't a regular feature in the team. And seriously, wasn't it? I was just saying, Stuart, you could get this guy, we're only 15 mile away from Parkhead, but I loved him when he was at Celtic. I just thought an entertainer.
Yeah. Mine is probably Billy Stark when he played at Celtic. When he came to Celtic, people thought his career was pretty much over. And
his management career.
My goodness.
You and Graham Spears again.
Trigger you. And he scored some really important goals for Celtic, a really pivotal season, and was a firm favourite of mine. And wasn't That's, I mean, he was playing in a team that had Frank McAvaney and Andy Walker, the two celebrated stars of the team, and Paul McStay. And to me, Billy Stark was as influential as them.
When he scored, did he take his hands out his blazer pocket?
Can I ask one favour before I go?
Yes?
Yeah.
A cousin of mine, Dee Dee, you may remember her. She knocked you back about 25 years ago. She turned 50
Excellent.
this week. Yeah,
Excellent.
yeah.
You said her name is Dee Dee.
Dee Dee turned 50 this week.
DD was a nickname. Double D. Wasn't it? It was you who told me that.
That's not true.
Oh, is that not true?
No,
Sorry.
she's 50 this week. Give her a wee shout out. Come on.
Right, okay, DD. I remember.
Well,
you.
actually, if Chick's listening, Chick, if you're listening, Didi, when he played with Vava for Brazil with Pele, was he a good player? There was a guy called Didi that played for Brazil.
Chick knows
Didi
his
and
Brazilian
Vava,
stuff.
they were.
Yeah, but DD, I remember her serving us at your mum's hotel back in the day. And yeah, fabulous girl. Yeah, all the best, DD. 50.
50, there you go. Thank
Wow.
you.
Yeah, they are. Wow.
Right, so
Something else.
Kenny, we'll be tuned in later. We've got that nail biter, Celtic 8, Livingston 0. That'll have the listeners on the edge of their seats. And make, it's well worth hearing Chick's music. I know, I didn't even say the KM because I was out with Chick through the week and he told me the three that he was picking. So,
Do you know the KM? Do you know who it is?
yes, but I'm not going to say.
Very good.
Right, anyway, tune in.
Have a great day. Livingston are the ones in black and yellow. Right.
But you think that's Kenny, that's no Pat Bonner. Right, anyway, texts and emails. We've got Mark Jennings, we've got Paul English. We're talking about all things. That was the week that was. Nick Montgomery, I think, is a highlight. Your take on, you know what I'd love today? In fact, Nick, when I did meet him that day, says that he's tuned into the show. He's not got a game today. He might be listening today. Nick, if you are, let's ruffle a few feathers here. You're going to be mic'd up. Sky Sports are getting all the kudos for being innovative and doing this stuff.
Yeah.
Why don't you at one point turn round to somebody in the dugout when you're mic'd up and say, you know, is it that Ian Crocker that's doing the commentary the day? You know? It's not, is it Chris Boyd in the studio? That would be great, just for a wee wind up. If you go down that road, Nick, £100 to the charity of your choice.
Or if he said, I've actually got a new number 2 on the bench today, Franco Begbie.
Aye. What about Stephen A. Smith getting tore into her in the canteen? You know, that would be great, just to play it up.
Do you know, I wonder if Giant Hearts will try and use that to the advantage. See if you're in the Hearts dugout, would you know try and wind them up? Because you know you're not on mic. So if you can wind them up to try and get him to say something.
Aye,
I mean,
aye. But again, you know, and you know what I'm thinking here. We all know the list of the BBC words, that are put you in the naughty step
The
immediately.
James Naughty step.
Yes, the James naughty step. But if that indeed, if he crossed that line, then will he get the blame or is it Sky Sports?
Oh,
It's a very good one.
You know, I think it's.
But you know, one of the things I'm looking for is things that when the Hearts number 2, you know, in that area turns round and says, "Oh, look who he's bringing on now." Things like that. It's going to be brilliant.
well, that's going to turn into. I think if this happens, it's going to turn into a part of the game that it'll become as part and parcel of it in years to come. The way we watch the football, that'll be part of the
What's
entertainment.
going to be the first social media Zoomer that will complain about something he says?
Stay tuned. We'll find out. It's got something has got to happen. I would be amazed if this game passed us all by with no incident due to him being mic'd up. Something's got to happen. Anyway, give us your take on it. Let's hear maybe, particularly for the Hibs fans here, the Hearts fans, of course. And if you want to join in the rest of it, 3 songs for your life and 1 song that will take you back to a football event. Your hopes and fears for your club, your country in 2024. Christmas in a loop. If there's just one Christmassy thing that you would happily watch over and over again, 24/7 until January the 3rd, as Pluto TV are doing with It's a Wonderful Life. Join in. And before I do some texts and emails.
What exactly is Pluto TV? Have they got a lot of assets or just this one film?
It's part, I think it's a sub-channel of Apple TV.
Right, okay, got you.
Maybe takes a bit of finding, but if you love It's a Wonderful Life, it's there for you. The risk, we don't want to be as Glasgow centric, of course, as Sports Sound, but the GFT, they've been showing it as well, and apparently that's a regular festive fixture.
It is,
where folk love going to see it on the big screen.
Yeah.
Because the big screen can make cinematic experiences so much better.
Yeah.
The best example I had of that, I remember, I hope you've seen the film, because I remember trying to watch this on a plane and one of the tellies on the back of a seat, right? You're talking about, what, 6 inches by 3?
Yeah.
And the film I was trying to watch, and I later went to see it at the cinema, and yes, it was much better. Gravity.
Yeah.
You know the one?
Yes.
Is it George Clooney and...
Julia Roberts or something?
It's not Sandra
Bullock.
Bullock, aye.
Bullock, yeah.
So it's basically about them in outer space. And it is an absolute cinematic classic, and but trying to watch it in one of the wee, it was useless.
Pretty boring, yeah.
But anyway, listen, I'll get the song in as well just now. Your last chance for this year. We've got a couple of pre-recorded shows coming up, but this is our last live show until the start of the new year. So last chance for a song to play us out. And there's a new, is it biopic or biopic?
Biopic.
Thank you. There's a wee thing I've always wanted to know. There's a new Elvis biopic.
Oh, it's myopic.
It's myopic.
But it's biopic.
Aye, biopic. So there's a new Elvis biopic. That's all you need to know. Give us an Elvis song to play us out. Plenty to choose from, but one I'm immediately thinking a little less conversation for Nick Montgomery, which might be wise advice. But give us an Elvis song to play us out that you can dedicate to someone or something in Scottish football. Simple as that. And remember, we want to know, who does Santa really support? Folks said, oh, well, it's no Celtic, they booed him. Folks said, oh, it must be Rangers. He got a great reception for them when they came out with the trophy. Give us your thoughts. Right, I'm going to do a load of texts and emails here. First song that made me pick a guitar up and changed my life, it was Metal Guru by
T-Rex.
Big Kelly fan, who Stuart knows from my Channel 4 days.
All right.
I'm on my way to Rugby Park. I'll be back home for Christmas. Love the show. Who would that be then, Stuart?
Well,
a
is there not a
guitarist?
name?
No, he's not put a name on it. So he's a guy who's a big guitarist. He worked with you at Channel 4, and he says he'll be back home for Christmas. So he's still down there, and he is a Kelly fan. You must know him.
I must.
No?
It's one of the
another wee clue. Another wee.
One of the Trash Can Sinatras. They're a Kelly, Kelly boys that might be
yeah.
picking a guitar up.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Nostalgic song for me is Penny Lane by the Beatles. I had fallen over and skint my knees. My mum plopped me on the kitchen bunker and shoved a sweetie in my mouth while she dabbed them with Germaline. The band that was on the radio was the Beatles. And there we go. That was Andy Gray in Thornton in Fife, who is an Arab. Thank you very
You know
much
what?
for
There
that.
is no greater smell in the world than going into the cupboard and getting the Germaline out and just having a wee sniff of it. Tell you, why we bother importing cocaine? I don't know.
No, it's bursting through the foil in a new jar of coffee.
Yeah. Oh, that's
Oh,
nice.
that's an amazing smell.
Sorry, you buy coffee in a jar?
Oh, I mean, everybody's got a coffee machine under the sink, but we just put ours straight in a skip and use the kettle. Aye, absolutely. Ian Arnott.
Jack, Tam, you're very much
I know,
suffering,
it's
aren't you?
awful, it's awful. And you know, it's heartbreaking. I don't want you to be reaching for the hankies, but I'm going out to see my dad and his good lady wife later. My dad's 90, she's 80, and what I'm doing, I'm being the taxi driver the day. My wife and my daughter are going to get in with their Christmas presents. I'm going to sit outside.
Quite right.
I can't risk it with this. I don't know. It could be the other C word that you're not allowed to mention.
Is
you
that
know?
right? Huh?
Aye. Who knows?
The other C word you're not allowed to
Yes.
mention. So there's Celtic.
Ian Arnott, Ian the Plumber, the songs that resonate with him. Another Girl, Another Planet by...
Oh,
Another Girl, Another Planet by... I like turning these into a quiz. The Only Ones.
right.
Yeah. No,
You want to be? Would I know that if I heard it? Paul?
Yeah.
Teenage Kicks by...
the Undertones.
Well
yeah.
done.
Brilliant.
And Wandering Star.
I was born on Wandering Star, Lee Marvin.
Lee Marvin, well done. And he says, even as a Kelly fan, it'd been dead easy for him to say Paper Roses, Marie Osmond. Even as a Kelly fan, my football song is The Haunting Sunshine on Leith by the Proclaimers. We had a debate a while back, and a few of them did indeed agree with us. We said, will there even be Hearts fans who grudgingly love that song, even though it's all things Hibs? And there were.
Yeah.
Right, good afternoon, lads. Whole Lot of Love by... Whole Lot of Love. It might have been the theme tune to Top of the Pops early days.
Oh, Led Zepp.
Led Zeppelin. Was that the Top of the Pops one?
Yeah, it was, I think,
Right, at secondary school, takes me back to there. It was my introduction to the greatest band ever. Holidays in the Sun from...
That's Sex Pistols. I want a holiday in the sun.
It's from Nevermind the
Buzzcocks.
Yes,
Yeah.
aye. Well, it's not Buzzcocks, it's another word. Did not like the thin and tinny sound of punk until this vinyl album blared out of my mum's stereogram.
Wow.
Not the words now. And what we got here, Widerlich or Widerlich, brackets BAP, caps BAP, close brackets, when walking about in Saturn Music Store in Cologne. That's in Germany, Koln.
Aye.
Turned me on to German rock music. So maybe dig that out later. Or we could maybe get a producer to dig it out later. Widerlich by BAP, B-A-P.
I think one of the Scotland games is going to be there as well, isn't it?
Yeah,
Maybe,
exactly.
aye. So Cologne being Cologne, clearly.
Aye.
Koln. There we go. And the football song, Kenny just says, I can't think of a track. Poor stuff, Kenny.
Yeah.
There we go. What have we got here? At least it's not Lee Johnson doing the mic
God, could you imagine that'd be painful, wouldn't it? You know?
What would that be? What, is he
he's
arguing he would send you to sleep?
He's one of these kind of over the top laptop managers that would be talking in stats and shape and all of that and trying to baffle people and only baffling himself.
And DB just says, a favourite word of yours, Stuart's, this is just tin pot stuff. That's how DB is dismissing it.
Yeah.
Hi guys, what a chance for advertising if managers are mic'd up. Nick was asked about this and he said, there is no way I'll jump in the bandwagon of product placement. I won't hold back because I'm mic'd up and will shout until I'm hoarse, because I know that the strong menthol soothing ingredients in a locket will set me up for my post-match interviews. Aye, fine, go along with it. That was Big McGregor. Absolutely, cash in if you can. Songs for life. Karen Dunning says One Moment in Time by
Whitney
Houston. I was watching the majestic Chris Waddle warming up before a Spurs game. I was a bit obsessed by him as a teen, and it was as if I was watching him shoot in some weird slow motion. And so One Moment in Time, who knows, it may even have been playing over the tannoy as she was watching
Yeah,
her.
that was the song she sang at the opening of the Olympics, wasn't it? I think.
Indeed,
Is that right?
You're right. Yeah,
There we go.
Which Chris Waddle didn't.
He wasn't part of it.
Adi or Addy McLaughlin or McLachlan. I went to Fir Park in the 70s when Ian St John used to sit in the covered dugout. He swore a lot. Oh, he did. When we were in the enclosure, we heard every word. I went home and mentioned it to my mum. She had been in maternity with Mrs St John many years before and knew her well. So she phoned her to complain about Ian St John's language from the dugout in front of the children.
Hey, Tom, did Ian St John move home?
What do you mean?
For a long period of time. I mean, he was. He was
relatively. He was still a boy when he moved to Liverpool.
Aye, but he spent a good while down there, and then did he come back up the road before St and Greavesy?
Well, he'd been back up when he was involved as manager.
Yeah.
At Motherwell, which was still, I'm playing at Motherwell was long before my time. I'm managing at Motherwell was long before my time. But he'd have come back up then.
Yeah.
What else have we got? Waiting to hear Cosgrove, this must be having a pop, displaying consternation and indignation at Liam Gordon faking holding his head last weekend to get a player a red. Or will he? Challenge the supercilious hypocrite, Tam. R. What was the Liam Gordon incident?
I can't remember the incident, but if he and he faked it, then tut Liam, terrible. Who was this Rangers fan?
Well, I'm assuming you don't know if it's a Rangers fan, but it might just be a fair play gentleman.
Right,
Who's
okay.
thinking you're pillorying Philippe Clement there. It's just the initial R.
I'm not.
And if you're going to have a pop, what should the rule be? You put your full name down. You be big and bold.
Yeah.
What have we got here? Nick Montgomery. Oh, very brave of him. I just wish the referees would show the same bravery. It's not to do with the referees' bravery. The referees are up for being. We had Steve Conroy and Des Roach on just last week. If they were mic'd up, as they said, it's the players who would be exposed.
Aye.
The players who a lot of the time don't know the rules. The players who a lot of the time call these referees every name under the sun. So I don't think it's really.
Well, the only thing
protecting
about that,
referees.
the only thing about that, Tom, is it feels a wee bit of a weak excuse. We would do it, but it would be the players that we would let down.
Yeah.
I'm wondering about that. I think that's a bit of a thing.
Well, you never know. If it takes off with Nick Montgomery, if it's deemed an out-and-out success, then maybe that's the next way that Sky will move on to the next level and say, let's go with the refs.
Yeah.
And it's up to them. If they, I know it'll probably be the referee boss or the SFA that'll overlook this, but in the same way that Nick Montgomery was up for it whilst other managers weren't, if you get one referee that says, aye, on you go, I'll do it.
Again, I was at the Celtic game last week. I noticed at one point, Mikey Johnson, was not having a good game, and he would probably be the first to admit it because his body language was admitting it on the pitch. Poor Mikey, actually. And Callum McGregor at one point, right in front of where I was sitting, was going, Mikey! Shouting at him. And you think, well, what would it be like? It would be interesting. In the days where stadiums were maybe slightly smaller, you could hear.
Yeah.
I remember hearing Mick McCarthy.
Yeah.
You could hear him like as if he was sitting next to you.
Yeah.
Could we mic the players up? Was that where this is going?
Well, got a better nomination for our producer there because, of course, the linesmen, who a lot of the time run directly in front of thousands of fans, and they take a fair bit of dog's abuse. And if they were mic'd up, you would hear everything that was being shouted at them. So, if we want to try this out, we've got a suggestion for Douglas Ross being mic'd up because there's already you must have seen the clip of him. Is it maybe a Queen of the South game down at Palmerston? And again, you hear every word.
Dogs
when it's not a
abuse,
huge crowd, and he's running up and down. The fans are right over the top here, and I believe they're having a few. Not many Tories, I don't think, are in the crowd that day, let's say. What have we got here? This is just a gimmick, says Ian Ray. What we want to really hear is refs and the VAR explaining things. Again, I wonder, is this is SFA going to Sky and says, right, guys, we need to forget everybody talking about, come on, we want to hear about VAR and the refs. Why don't you try this thing with the managers? Deflect.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's a good way as well because obviously we can't compete with the money in England and the Premier League and stuff, but the one thing that we've got going for us in Scotland is patter. So I think if you just lent into that and just, what they're actually saying to each other and it being a good laugh, then that might be a way to get more people tuning in.
Absolutely. If you keep it good nature, right?
Aye.
If everybody says, right, we're definitely not going to resort.
There's the fantasy to begin.
I know. To terrible, awful language.
Charity match.
Have a laugh.
Just some little tiny piddling little things sometimes irritate you. Let me test you on this, Tom.
Right.
We've all sung hosannas to Sunshine on Leith.
Yes.
The rhyming of it, though. While I'm worth my room on this earth.
Yeah.
I mean, earth rhymes with Perth, does it not? Not with earth.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it's a flawed rhyme.
Well, the aforementioned Dusty Springfield got away with phonia and
Pneumonia.
So if you can do that, you can do anything.
Yeah. Well, I
yes.
tell you what, there might be worse rhymes out there. Let's hear them.
Right, okay. Worst rhyme ever. Leanne. Never liked her. Thanks so much, Stuart and Tam. Oh, there's a rarity. For your recommendation about the stage show. Oh, yeah, same team.
Yeah.
We had the writer and director of it on recently. You had her on Off the Ball a couple of weeks ago. This is Karen Alexander in Edinburgh. We went to see it last night at the Traverse in Edinburgh. It was fantastic. The script, production, and especially the acting. I would recommend it to everyone.
Highly recommend as well the Pitlochry Theatre's version of Sunshine on Leith, which lots of people are raving about.
Yeah.
It's kind of entered the kind of Christmas calendar now. Yeah. I think it's one of these really popular ones that, better than doing a panto, do Sunshine on Leith.
Tam and Stewart, nice to hear your festive show is up to the usual standard, on a par with the entirety of Scottish football. Absolutely shocking. Speaking of the Derek Adams vibe, I am in Yorkshire visiting the Outlaws for Christmas, and I took my father-in-law to see his team Doncaster Rovers last night. Doncaster Rovers versus Bradford City, a former Adams team, playing in the same league, League Two, as Morecambe. I would not call it football. Hoofball rubbish. Not a bit of football in sight. A lot of Lillian Gish. It would take a massive backward step for Scottish football to slip to this level. To add insult to injury, I will miss some quality football today as the only unbeaten team in the UK, I didn't know that, take on Annan today. So he's in Yorkshire now, but who does Dougie really support? The only unbeaten team in the UK? I didn't think that was the case. And they're playing Annan today. There's your clue. There's your league.
I don't know.
It's Falkirk.
Is it?
I didn't think Falkirk. There you go.
Are they still unbeaten?
Well done, Falkirk. Well, we can only take Dougie at face value. We'll have our producer check that. Thank you, Dougie. All the best. Merry Christmas. For the Christmas 11, who have we got here? Gabriel Jesus. Stuart.
Gabriel Jesus, I like him. Yeah, get him in the team.
Motherwell legend Reith Lasley. We'll get Reith Lasley in there. The front
Reith on the door. Yeah,
absolutely. Frankincense Machiavelli. Frankincense Machiavelli. That's for Deke Gascon. Previous one for Stevie Yates.
Who used to have played with St. Mur.
Oh, he did, aye. St. Mur. What was Mur?
Mur, is it not a fine...
I wrote it was frankincense for that, mate.
Frankincense was a smell.
Yeah.
A smell, you know. There's happy birthday, Jesus. There's a smell. What was it?
There's aftershave on it, isn't it?
Aye,
yeah.
The smell
Something
emanated
that made
from
your
what?
manger smell a bit better. Donkeys in there doing a shit. You needed some...
Was it potpourri?
Potpourri, yeah.
Right, so you give up away that
you have
for...
to bring sectarianism.
You give that away for his birthday, potpourri. You just chuck it away. Gold, I can understand. You can't go wrong with gold. You know? No. Right.
All that glisters is not gold.
Chris Scullion says for the Christmas 11, if we could all put on our white puffer jackets and put the hoods up, Paul McStay another day.
Very good.
I've got Paul McSlay.
Oh, Paul McSlay. Who was it sang? Who am I thinking there, Paul?
Paul McSlay?
He's 17.
He's 17.
He's 17, yeah.
Is that back out?
Is the Pope's white puffer jacket an AI?
Aye,
It is.
It is.
Yeah, that wasn't real.
Right, okay.
Aye.
It's easy to get caught out now.
Isn't he half dumb?
He wasn't
Okay.
in E17 either.
I've turned Tam on to AI this week.
Is that right?
You watch for him.
What was the one that I said I did?
You did one that
It was what?
spaghetti on a motor.
No, the actual app. Because the one that you were telling me, it was all Microsoft and you had to download this and do. But there was another one I just went on to and it was a freebie.
It wasn't a chat GBT.
Gent something or something like that. Like, in fact, why don't I just...
Well, I don't think we should be... Any of us that are involved in the media should not be furthering the cause of these things. Going to do us out of work in the long run.
Indeed, except, here's the thing, AI is crass, whereas you have talent.
Thanks. Sure.
There you go. Right, in fact, I'm not even going to name check them. Well said, Paul. I agree with you. Right, what have we got here? These songs. Gogs in Banff. He says, well, for his first love, Have I the Right by...
Have I the right to... It's by the 60s band, Have I the Right...
It was Dead End Kids.
No.
Is it the same
There's
version?
a one from
Right,
the
I know
early
the one you're thinking.
Have I the right... that's the Honeycomb.
For Teenage Life, Go Buddy Go by...
Nah. The Stranglers.
Yes, there we go. And